Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to go through a little bit more detail on the Relentless, the Dean indicator. So I'm going to go through what it's made up of, how it works, a couple of different things to do with the labels and things, and then I'm going to show you an example of like how to use it as well. So there are multiple ways where you could find trades, and it's not just about looking at the label printing, which is probably one of the most obvious things that it does. But I'll talk through a little bit about what you actually see and what the indicator is made up of, and then from there show you like I said, that example. And I must apologize because obviously we released this on Wednesday. It's now Friday, and I didn't realize how much interest we would have in such a short period of time. So just want to say a massive thank you to those that have already bought it and started using it, and also anybody that is interested in it as well. Thanks for taking a look over it. I'm hoping that I'll be able to answer all the questions that I've kind of had come through in this video, but if anybody feels that I haven't covered anything and you want to know any more, please just drop me a message and I'll be more than willing to get back to you. That's absolutely fine. And like I said, the indicator was designed to do exactly that. It's just to indicate where price potentially may reverse from. And then what I'm hopefully going to show you is how we can apply that, a little bit more context to it using high time frames and stuff. And you shouldn't just take them blindly. You do need to think about your own strategy that you're trading, what else you see in that area, and use the indicator for additional confluence as well. So without further ado, so I'm going to go into, I'm on the daily chart on gold at the moment, and you'll see obviously we've got this upper band, we've got a lower green band, and then we have this central point as well. The central line just runs straight through, so I do have to zoom in because I forget that my screen's quite wide. So the central line is exactly that. It's an average price area where we think, that price could hold that bounce off, and when we start entering the lower band, this is where potentially price could reverse from. Now that doesn't mean that every time it hits this band it's going to turn around, or every time it hits the top band it's going to turn around. And like I said, these are areas where price may potentially turn around from and bounce from, and that bounce can consist of a few things. It can consist of what it's done here, so it's come down up into this middle line, come back down, and then it breaks through the central line, and then it continues, and then it comes and hits the central line, bounce back off, come back up, holds again at central line, and then once you break through it, and repeats the process. So it will be used, you can use these areas like targets and stuff as well as looking at price point and key levels. So that's the first kind of thing with the bands. Okay, now you'll see on here that there's no labels been printed in this particular section. Actually, let me just go over. So you also get on it there's some little like red and green stars that print above price and below price here. This is just indicating that all the technicals within this code are highlighting that this is every technical that we take into account is showing bullish or bearish. And if you're not familiar with those terms, bearish means we're expecting price to continue down, and the bullish expects price to continue higher. The coloured bars are just there as again a visual representation. You can turn them on and off as you so wish, and there are setup instructions to it all as well in the back office. The green ones obviously indicate again that we've got more bullish momentum in the market. Red indicates more bearish, and the blue ones are just indicating a bit of indecision, bit of uncertainty, potentially going to get a bit of a pause before the market decides what it's going to do, just like in this situation. So it's quite bearish coming down, and then we can see we get this blue that's like, okay, we're not too sure at the minute, yeah, we think we're continuing, or we're not too sure, and then eventually it drops and continues. So you will find that the blues maybe happen in a consolidation area or just before price starts to reverse as well, but that's just there as a visual guide, aesthetically really, to help people. Now I mentioned that there's a couple of different ways to use it, right? So one of the most obvious is we're looking at when labels print. So on the daily, the last daily to print on gold, where we've had, and I should have added that this is non-repainting here as well. So this is a non-repainting indicator, which means that what you see is exactly what you get. So it doesn't mean that there's been 10 alerts that printed, but they've now disappeared, or labels, sorry. It doesn't mean that there's been a label printed, I don't know, here, one here, here. It doesn't mean that, and that they've now disappeared. What you see is exactly what happened at the time, in real time. So the daily doesn't print as often, so that's why I'm going to show you another way that we can use the daily as well. But when it does, it's generally pretty good at showing direction. So you can see up here, this is March 22. It called a sell in this level, and then, you know, the following month, price retraced back into it, and then absolutely tanked from there. So it's very, very accurate if you and it'll work for like any type of trader. So if you want to hold trades for a couple of weeks potentially, if you want to look at position trading, it works on stocks as well. It works on crypto. So if you're looking at maybe longer term holds where you're thinking, you know, am I getting in at a good price? You can use it for that as well. Not just day trading. Another thing that's quite powerful with the levels that it prints. So in this candle here, this is the first candle, and the label prints when this candle has closed. I'm going to zoom in on it because I can appreciate that this is probably quite small. So this label here appears on the close of this candle. So only when this candle closes, this one prints. So we can get in at this price on the next one if we want to, or you can wait for retracement. But another cool thing with these things is that price generally, because it picks out really strong areas, if you highlight like the first candle in this situation, look how price like respects it and uses it as like an order block or an area of interest, and that can generally be quite a good indication as well that price is potentially going to hold there. So that's just one way of looking at it. Even if you extend it out further, if you look where price comes to, it comes into it and then drops off of it as well. So it depends how far forward we want to extend that. But if we look over here, I'm not too sure. Let me show you this one. This is the other, the previous alert that printed. So the previous alert that printed was actually an up candle as well, so it does print on both. So you're getting an excellent entry there. So let's say you get in here, stop, go above, whatever you target, further down. See price makes that move. But again, if you just highlight this candle, the first one that prints, you can highlight, you know, all the candles that print if you want to. That's absolutely fine. But it picks out really key areas where price could potentially reverse from, and it comes back into it and it drops off it as well. So it can give you multiple setups depending on how price has reacted in and around those areas. It's probably more powerful. So like in this situation, this move actually took off. So if this works out, then when it comes back to that level, you're expecting price to do the same, at least for a short run anyway, before it would then potentially break, which you would get is, say the price comes down, you get break, retest the other side, and continue on higher, which, if I just extend this out, is exactly what happens over here as well. So if you look at this level, price, so like I said, price came into here, dropped off, comes back up, taps it, it comes through with an impulsive candle. I should have used a different color, and it does retest here, drives up, comes back in here, holds there, and then just continues on for that final push. And then you'll see, because it's been used multiple times, eventually price breaks down, comes through at the other side. But look how key that level's been since. Comes back in, drops off the other way. So I'm not sure if it gets used again on the other side. I think that's probably enough, and price will start to become a little bit weaker in that level. And interestingly, we're coming up to that level as well, so it could be an area that you'd potentially want to keep marked up if it is just keep respecting it. Impulsive candle through, holds the other side, drops off. Impulsive candle through, and then holds. I'm just going to change the color of this if I can find it. There it is. Holds the other side and continues on higher. So you've got loads of different ways to use these levels. The higher the time frame, the more what's the word? The more reliable, I would say, they are going to be. You know, if you're trying to do this on a 1 minute time frame or a 5 minute time frame, you're possibly not going to have the exact same results. It can still work, but I would stick to higher time frames for things like that where you're marking up key areas. And really, you want to be picking out the ones where price does really move away from there, because that's showing you that, yeah, well, this move took off, so there is something there that's powerful enough to shift price, and that'll work on both sides, like I said. So that's one way of using it. The other way that we can use price, the indicator, is simply by looking at the daily chart or a weekly chart or whatever time frame you want, but higher time frames we want to look at for bias. And you can use the central line. So if you know that price is below the central line, which is this here, if you know you're below, then just keep looking for sells. Look for sells on the smaller time frames. If you want to intraday trade on a 15-minute, then look for short positions on the lower time frame in and around these levels, and do that until you have a reason to suspect price is going to turn around. So even though, this is what I was saying as well to some of the people that have already bought it, you know, if price is showing you that don't think just because it's in this level that it's going to bounce off it straight away. It's not. It's going to continue in the direction that it's going until it's ready to turn around. If you check a daily chart and you've got these stars above, then, you know, pay attention to them, because it's telling you something. It's telling you sellers are in control here. So why do you want to look for buys? And of course, on smaller time frames, you can look for scalps. If you think you're catching this bottom here, you can take a little buy up here, if you're comfortable to do that. But I'm trying to show you simple ways to potentially use it. And that's going to be look for buys when you're above the line. But you will see, like in this situation, you're going to have down days as well. So you might get caught out. So you need to understand where you are in respect of the daily. So if the daily is moving up, but then you see the daily start to close bearish, then you know you need to identify a key area where price might start reversing from. So I don't know, I'm just trying to look here. You might pick out this level here. So if you've seen price come up, starts to come down, you had a couple of bearish days, wait for a reaction on the level that you're expecting it to reverse from. Then, and only then, you can start to look for buys, and you'll start to catch buys on the intraday chart for coming up. Excuse me, I've just started with hiccups, which is amazing. Just good timing. So that's one way of doing that. So I'm going to show you an example of this as well. And it's been really difficult actually to rewind the chart and get it to the right places. So all we're going to do is we're going to look at this, right? And we're going to say price has, I'll just rewind this chart. So this is back to Tuesday the 1st of August. And what we can see is that price has broken below the central line, but I can see a really key area that we were probably talking about, like similar to what we were just talking about before, where price is impulsive through, holding the other side, then it comes back and it's holding, and they're closing above these as well, so they're failing to close below because you've got all the wicks below. So all the wicks below, then we get impulsive candle through, respect the other side, impulsive candle through. So we just want to pay attention here. We don't want to start looking for shorts and sells yet. We want to make sure that our daily has closed below this level. And once we get a close below, and to be honest, the best person to teach you this kind of stuff is Pete, because this is his baby. He will teach you exactly how to identify these kind of ranges and stuff. So we can look at this as a level of interest. You might want to just pick out some others if we're going to look for like where price might go to. Get quite a lot of wicks and stuff in and around these levels, so there might be something here that we want to pay attention to. Me personally, I'd be looking maybe here, somewhere like that, I think. So then we wait for a daily close to confirm. So yeah, I'm happy now. The daily's closed below. Last time the daily closed below this level, we drove down here. It took a couple of days, but it does drive down there. You can see that this range is getting filled as well over this side. So I'm happy to look for short positions. So this is where now you understand what your higher time frame bias is, and we can go down to these lower time frames. So use a 15-minute, and we'll just wait. We're just going to wait and see for price to set up. We're going to look for our label to print, and I have no idea how long this is going to take, and when it's going to take, and it might print a buy trade, right? But we know that we're looking for shorts. So if you were to see a buy trade, you can obviously take it, but you need to understand and probably be a little bit more advanced trader to take a buy trade, because you've got to know that where to get out of it, and that you're possibly the opposite side of the market. So what day are we on? 7th of August. So it's taken a couple of days to get this alert on a lower time frame. And of course, if you just want to trade the daily, like off the daily, do it, go for it. Just trade one time frame, the high time frames. Check the weekly, see where the weekly's at. Okay, so we get shorts printed here, so let me just go back on this. So I'm gonna, because it's replay, I do have to go back. So basically what's happened here is on the open of this candle here printed the label on the close. So this is a down candle. We've been up in this top band. So my advice here is to look at the highest candle just before the label print. And you just want to see where price was when it last touched this level. Similar to what we were doing on the daily. Where's the key areas? Where does price want to stop from? All that kind of good stuff. And there's a high here, so I would use this candle for a safer stop. I wouldn't expect price to come higher, to be honest, but I'm doing this for new traders, and so you get comfortable with risk management and all that kind of stuff. So this can be your trade up here. So the entry is on the close of this, which was a down candle. So the entry's here. Stop, put it above here. We had this a white line marked up for a first TP. That's a 1 to 4 if this comes off, right? And all we've done is we've identified a daily chart, and we've identified we just want to wait for a sell, and that's all we're doing. If we want to target this as a second TP, that's 6.3. So we can go for the first one at a 1 to 4, and we can just see how price plays out. What else I'm going to do is similar to what I was showing you on the daily chart. I'm going to mark up, well, you can see actually, so I'm marking up the body of the first candle, just to show you that, but even the second label and the third label, those candles are all in this area as well. I'm going to mark that up and extend it to show you how price maybe reacts if it does come back there as well. Not sure if it does come back, but TP's just got hit on the same day, which I actually wasn't expecting to happen. So there's a 1 to 4 just done, just from a really few simple things. Then we get a buy trade. So like I said, we know that we're the opposite end, but if you're comfortable enough, I would expect price to at least retrace to this kind of level, and you'll start to understand this the more familiar you get with trading. But for now, for newbies, just take the ones that are in line. But for anybody else, you could have took a buy here, stops below, and like I said, I would have targeted this because it's the equilibrium, it's the central price. Now that's a 1 to 3 there, back up as well. Can you see what's happened? Price tapped right into the area that we were looking at before. Now what's happened is we've got another sell. So if you've already set your TP at this one, then take, that's closed. If you did take this, if you're a confident trader, then you've got 2 trades there. But you might want to wait for this. This is a huge down candle, so I would personally have an issue with it, but I'm going to show you the trade that I would look at. And my stop would go, for you guys, I would say just cover this high here, so it's quite wide. And my target would be our second level, because I'm fairly confident that that's where price should be going to. You might get some resistance around this level, so you might want to take some partials, you might want to move to break even, you might want to do all that good stuff. In this situation where it's such a huge drop, and this was news, I think it was CPI actually yesterday, you could set a pending order or something up here to get a better risk to reward and see if price comes back to tag you in. So you could do that as well. But for the purpose of this, I'm just going to show you the first candle entry. But like I said, for such a big move, I would really try and get in a little bit higher up. Another thing we can do with this as well is, this again, it's a huge candle, but we can highlight that level as somewhere where we would hope price stops at. If you can see that this has got 3 labels as well, so I don't know if it's quite a wide area, but you know, that's just for visual purposes. So let's see if we've hit this. I don't know, I think price is still going on today, so haven't actually got down there, but can you see what happened? Price came down, tap back in here, so there's another entry there. If you miss the first entry, once you've seen price react and take off, a little bit riskier, but you could get back in there as well, target this down, this bottom level. So it's giving you multiple entries to get in. Now this trade, it has come and hit our first TP on the last trade, so the first area that we're interested in. And notice how that's the level where I said you might get a bounce from, and that's exactly where it bounced from and came back to the entry and then dropped back off. So a couple of really interesting things. I think price is still going on today. So this is where price currently is up to right now. And again, price has reacted in around this level, bounced off. So it'll be interesting to see if price makes it down here. I was obviously just showing you this for educational purposes and whatnot. And yeah, but you can see how price has still managed to get you into profit. And if you had done what I said and got that earlier trade, you could have just took the bag on the first trade yesterday. Got a 1-to-1, 2.5 or something. So it'll be interesting to see if price can make it down there today. But I hope that's been helpful in terms of how you can use it. There's so much to explore with it and so many different ways that you can use it. But definitely using the higher time frames is brilliant. Looking at those levels where, particularly on the daily, mark up some areas of interest from the candles that I've printed before, particularly the ones that worked out, because they're going to be the ones with the most success rate when it maybe comes back and bounces back off. And then just looking at going down to lower time frames. If price is showing you on a daily that it's going up, go with it. Just go with it. And what will happen is, because if you think, and Pete teaches this again really well, so I'll just do this before we go, but if on the daily you're moving up, let me just try and get some better colors for you. So if on a daily chart you're moving up like this, generally we know that this is going to be really bad because they don't line up. You're going to get like a bottom wick, you're going to get a top wick. So essentially, if you think about this, when the next candle opens, we're expecting price to be bullish. But what we want to happen first is we want price to pull down first, and then during the day, the candle's going to flip, close bullish. That open, when price drops below, and then when price closes back up here, creates the bottom wick. And this is a daily chart. So on a lower time frame, 15-minute, this is where the intraday chart will show you the red and green bands like this. And this is where you're going to see these lower time frames on the Dean printing the buy signals for you to potentially get in and continue the move on higher. So I hope this has been helpful. Like I said, happy to chat over absolutely anything. If you want any more examples of anything different, or you want me to explain something else, please let me know. And yeah, happy to answer any questions at all. So thanks very much for listening and watching, if you did make it through to the end of this video. So I didn't expect it to be so long, and I'm off to get a drink now, maybe alcoholic. Okay, take care guys.